Hello, welcome, Scruffy Politics. Please subscribe, like. There's Brett in Michigan. Here's me over here in Illinois. We'll be talking about Donald Trump's Alligator Alcatraz, which is pretty interesting. We don't know much about it. We don't know if people are there yet. They're supposed to be coming there tonight or tomorrow. Um, However, what I find disappointing about this is Trump joking about it. He's your president. You want people to be safe here in America. And has the immigration problem been bad under all the presidents in my lifetime? Yeah. Has any president fixed it? No. The one who's talked the most about it has not fixed anything with it, and that's Donald Trump. But except wanting to put them in cages. And if you saw the beds that are in this alligator Alcatraz, they're not beds that I think prisoners get better beds in prison. Maybe I'm not sure, but Trump joking and saying we're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator if they escape prison. So these are let you talk in just a few seconds, Brett. These are people who are arrested, but they haven't been found guilty of anything. They're in asylum, maybe. So they're not even prisoners, in my opinion. They're seeking asylum here. Most of them are. And Trump's making a joke about it. Like, dude, you're supposed to, like, be a leader, a president, yeah, the immigration problem is out of control. Yeah, Joe Biden, he didn't have a good administration for it, but it wasn't any worse than Trump, when Trump took over in 2016. And I didn't think this would be a problem because if you were a Trumper in 2016, I thought Trump told everybody that Mexico was going to pay for the wall and nobody else would be coming in and we'd have this big, beautiful wall. Okay, Brett.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know as much about this either. I just saw some photos. You're right. I mean, it was out in the middle of nowhere, I guess. It's chain link fence. It looked like it had a dirt floor. I agree with you. I don't like when Trump jokes about stuff like this. But, I mean, if you're talking about dangerous people, I guess I don't understand also, are these illegal immigrants that are being detained or are they convicted criminals? Is this just like a housing place for?
Because there's a lot of immigrants who, once they come into the border, they tear up their IDs and everything. So when they come in, they could be like, "Oh, I don't know who I am." So a lot of them, you don't know if they're violent criminals or not. But a lot of them are escaping violent situations, situations that we could never imagine ourselves in. So they're seeking asylum when they come in.
So yeah, it says here that it's a 500 bed. Oh no, until it has an estimated 5,000 beds by early July. So possibly 5,000 people could be held there by early July. It looks like it is illegal immigrants that they are detaining. And this is not a federal thing. It looks like it says if they are detained in Florida. So this might be more of a Governor DeSantis thing than a federal President Trump thing.
Okay, well, hopefully.
But in general, what I would like to say about it is there is a benefit to this, no matter how harsh it seems to people. The benefit is that it creates a deterrent. I mean, everything that is happening now is why we have numbers so low as far as people trying to come into the country. Now, as far as the asylum, I understand what you're saying, but that needs to be reformed. In my mind, we should not be letting people in and granting asylum until we reform that system because people have been taking advantage of it for years and years and years. Essentially, they all come to the border. They're coached by charitable groups, just so you know. They get booklets and pamphlets, and they have little sessions, and they tell them, hey, when you get to the border, here's what you do. Don't worry, we got your back. We're going to take care of you. And then they claim asylum, and then they give them their paperwork, and they say, see you later, you can go to your family now in Chicago. And then they're just out there for 2-3 years, and then eventually they get a call to come in. Most of them don't ever go. The ones that do come in, it's like a high percentage, like 90%, don't meet the requirements for our actual asylum laws. And then they get an order of deportation, and then again, they just leave. And then they go to places where it's a sanctuary city, and they're like, well, I don't have to worry about deportation because the city that I live in isn't going to, they're not going to work with the federal government. They're just not going to work with ICE. So you could literally be a criminal in Chicago, get arrested, go to jail, and they're going to say, don't worry, we're going to keep you here in Chicago. We'll run you through the court process, but we're not going to give you to the ICE officials, and we're not going to have you deported out of the country. So, I mean, from an illegal standpoint, why wouldn't you come here and claim asylum? It's like a free ticket to whatever you want. And then, of course, maybe you can file for Medicaid. If you've got a medical procedure, just go have it done. I mean, just leave without the bill. Like I mentioned, we both know somebody that did that. You know, or you want to have a kid. Having a kid is really expensive. That's fine if you don't have insurance. The hospital will do it. They're not going to turn you away. And all the other people who do have insurance or taxpayers will pay for it. So, I mean, but when you hear bad stuff like this going on and you hear these ICE raids in LA and stuff, it sends a message to everyone south of us that, you know, it's not Joe Biden welcoming you into the country. Don't come here. Okay, do it legally if you want to do it. And it shuts off the water tap.
Which I saw a stat the other day. When ICE is doing these ICE raids, they're supposed to get the violent criminals. I think we got less than 15% so far. From like everyone that they've rounded up. So mostly everyone has not been a violent criminal or has been taken unfairly. ICE has not been how should I say it, the most professional. They cover. They don't show their faces. They don't really present themselves at first and say, hi, they come and they grab you. And like I've seen video of it. They come and they grab you as if you're not even a human being, you know? And
okay, so let me ask you, if you had
a little lady who's no harm.
Okay, so let's just do this as a thought experiment.
Do a better job.
Let's just do this as a thought experiment. So let's say, Steve, your job is to go apprehend a person that we have all the information on from El Salvador. We know he's a convicted murderer in El Salvador. He's here in our country illegally. It's your job to go apprehend him. Are you going to walk up and say, hi, my name's Steve from Illinois. I'm here to apprehend you. This is what my face looks like if you want to remember and come after me and my family.
Yeah, but those aren't the people they're doing it to.
No, there's tons of people that they're doing it to that are bad criminals like that. So my point being is the reason that you cover your face, and many do this when they go undercover in law enforcement, it's so that they can't track you down after the fact. They can't snap a photo of you. They can't identify you. They can't come after your family. That's why they do it. It's for their protection and their family's protection.
Why?
They're not doing it because they're
Police
Antifa.
don't cover their faces. Police don't cover their faces. So what makes these ICE agents more special?
I would say it's probably because they're dealing with, drug cartel convicted murderers from different countries that really don't play by any rules. So they would have zero hesitation about scooping up your daughter from school and getting you on the phone and saying, hey, you're going to do everything in your power to get me out of this, or you're never going to see your kid again. That's how the cartel plays. So your average American citizen might not play that way.
Well, has the cartel ever gotten one of the ICE agents?
Plus, police are different. They're under a different jurisdiction because they're local than federal officers. So ICE falls under, a federal jurisdiction. So they're much more like FBI would be a better description, or DEA, or ATF, that type of thing.
Yeah. Well, then if that's the case, then I understand why some cities don't want to interfere with it. So
I mean, you're going to have a little bit of that, and trust me, I'm sure the Trump administration willingly wants a little bit of a scenario where some poor innocent guy gets picked up at Home Depot that didn't do anything wrong, Because, again, what does it do? It sends a message. It's a deterrent. It's the opposite of Joe Biden standing on a debate stage saying, surge your poor and hungry to our border. We want you. We will take you. You will be fine here. You know? He did that, and what happened? They listened all the way to the tip of southern Brazil. They listened. Yeah, well, and they all got on trains. Remember the trains where they were all sitting on top? They were like, Joe Biden said, come. We're coming. They got a fresh bed. They got food. They got schools for our kids. A lot better than it is here in El Salvador and Nicaragua.
I don't want to sound like a jackass, though, but that wouldn't have happened had Trump built that big, beautiful wall that Mexico was going to pay for. But that wall failed, and Trump failed at that. So, yeah, I mean, that's what happened. So.
Here's another. I got to do this just real quick because I get a kick out of this. Just hold on a second here. The U.S.-Mexico border length. When we talk about the border, this is always a stat that cracks me up. So the U.S.-Mexico border is roughly 2,000 miles, right? And I remember when Trump was building the wall, Democrats were like, why do we need to build a wall? This is ridiculous. It's not going to work. There's no reason. There's no purpose for it, right? So we're talking 2,000 miles. Okay, now hold on. The Great Wall of China, built a long, long time ago, is 13,000 miles. Now, why in God's green earth did the Chinese build 13,000 miles of a super high, impenetrable brick wall? For what purpose if there was no sense in us building a wall on our U.S.-Mexico border? So the Chinese believed in border control way back then. When was this thing built? Oh, I don't even know. It's probably before Christ. But anyway, I love how people are like, that was a dumb idea. We should have never done it. Really? Because the Chinese saw the value in doing it many, many years ago. Oh, and by the way, theirs is 10 times longer than ours.
Yeah, but Trump promised his supporters back in 2015, 2016 that Mexico is going to pay for a big wall. And that would take care of it. So it should have been taken care of by the time Trump ended his first term. And Trump failed at that. And Trump was all big talk about it. So the one I put this whole thing on is Trump. So.
Yep. He did fail because he didn't finish it. There was like 200 miles left. And he didn't get it finished. And you know what? I saw a press conference. I think he was genuinely shocked. I think he thought that there was so little left that Biden would actually just finish the job because it was already paid for and the material was there, and Biden didn't, just despite Trump, because that's just how he was, you know. And actually, he sold the material for like pennies on the dollar because we paid for it, so he didn't care. Biden didn't care that we paid for it, so he sold it at like rummage sale prices. Here you go, take all this steel for 5 cents. I don't give a shit. This was Trump stuff. I don't respect the American taxpayer who paid for it.
But had the situation been reversed, Trump would have done the same thing, you know. So.
Well, here's another good point I got to make, and then I know we're running long. We got to stop. But here's another great point. Remember when the Democrats approached Trump about this immigration bill, and he told the senators to scuttle the bill? Yeah. And everybody said, "Oh, the Democrats, we were the good guys. We were trying to fix it, but Trump killed it." Well, now you see. Trump was right to do it because Trump knew that he would win the election, and he knew that he would be able to. Now he can tackle immigration however he wants with Republican control.
He didn't want Joe Biden getting any credit, so that's
true.
Why.
True, he did. But here's another great point. I got to say this, okay? So they passed the bill anyway, right? Now I felt like Trump was going to get it done because he has a record of getting things done. Now. Answer me this. If the Democrats care so much about these illegal Hispanics, and let's say specifically the Dreamers, right? Because I believe something should be done with the Dreamers. It's not fair to kick somebody out who's been here since they were 6 months old, and this is the only language they know, and it's the only place they know, and they're probably, have a job and doing well now. But the Democrats could have easily went to Donald Trump because he's a deal maker. He doesn't really care. If they would have went to him, if Hakeem Jeffries went to Trump and said, look, here's the deal. I'll give you 3 votes to help you pass this bill, but I want something in writing that protects the dreamers. Trump would have said, absolutely. Here. I'm trying to get my hand on the camera. Shake. Let's shake on it. That's a deal. That's a deal, bro. We're good. But the Democrats apparently don't care about the dreamers because they could have easily got that. And what did they get now? They got nothing. He passed it anyway without him.
With Trump, you would have really had to seen that in writing because Trump will
he would have put it
take
in
your
writing.
hand and lie. He will.
I mean, look how Democrats are really upset now with Lisa Murkowski because they thought for sure she was going to be a no vote and she was going to sink this, right? But Lisa Murkowski did what the Democrats could have done. She went and said, I want carve-outs on this Medicaid thing for Alaska. And he said, okay, no problem. There you go. Have a nice day.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
They would have asked. He would have done business with them, but they didn't ask. They didn't care.
Well, yeah. Well,
all right. Well, I guess that's all we got for this one.
Yeah.
Thanks. Like, subscribe. Tell us what you think about Alligator Alcatraz. If you like the idea, if you don't like the idea. I will end with one final note that if you are in prison or being detained, it's not supposed to be pleasant. You know, you're usually there.
But these are not prisoners. These are asylum seekers. And the beds they're getting are probably worse than some of the violent criminals in prison.
So what does the law say about how you have to apply for asylum? What's the actual law say?
I think once you get to the border and you don't have any identification, or if you say you're here for protection or a better life, I think.
Nope. The legal law says you have to apply for asylum in your home country. If you're in El Salvador and you want asylum in the United States, you apply in El Salvador for asylum, not at the border.
From a dangerous country, a very corrupt country, they're not going to sign it, so they're escaping anyways.
That's the way the law's written.
But
so if you just show up at the border and claim asylum, I don't think that's not how you're supposed to do it legally. And if you enter the country illegally, well, now you've actually broken a law. So yeah, you can claim asylum, but you didn't do it the way our law says you're supposed to do it.
Well, I think when we talk about laws and Trump as president, I think it gets very confusing because this is a man who's also
he's a convicted felon,
a felon, and
Don't forget, 36 times he convicted. He's the 36th time convicted felon.
Oh man, yeah. So
all right, we'll end it there. All right, see you everybody. Bye.